YouTube, what's good? What's good? What's going on with it, man? It's your one and only Rebuke All Devils, man, and welcome back to another edition of Rebuke All Devils Radio, 107.7, home of the truth. And man, you know, I'm just coming at y'all, man, just to chop it up a little bit, man, and ask y'all, what do y'all how do y'all feel about the current climate that's going on right now? How do y'all feel about that? You know what I mean? We got ice, that's killing people. You know what I mean? We honestly and truly have ice killing people. We have ice shooting people. You know what I mean? We have all of this stuff that's going on. And and don't get me wrong, a lot of people say, well, this ain't nothing new. They've been killing people over here in this land ever since the Europeans got here. And that's true. You know what I'm saying? That's 100% true. But, and you know what? When you think about it, I bet it was a whole lot worse than what we're seeing today. Back then, when there wasn't no cameras, it wasn't nothing to record, and they could just run wild and pillage the land and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It was a whole lot worse than this. I know y'all heard about Wounded Knee. You know what I'm saying? And and things like that, where they just massacred so many people, and then took pictures by it. They glorified it. You know what I'm saying? They took pictures of what they had done. Like kind of like for as a friendly reminder. And so the question is how worse is it gonna get? How worse do y'all think it's gonna get? Do y'all think it's gonna get worse than this? You know what I mean? Do y'all think we at the height of what's going on right now? Or do y'all think it's gonna get a whole lot worse than this? If you ask me, I think it's just the beginning. I think they just now getting started. If you ask me, they just now getting started, man. They are just now getting started. And if they're just now getting started, I guess the real question is, when are they going to stop? When are they going to stop? That's the real question. As we sitting up here and we watching these events, we watched America take Venezuela. We watched Trump threaten to take Greenland. And then here this week, a couple of days ago, I believe they landed yesterday. We watched the European Union, some countries in Europe, in NATO, send troops to Greenland. Now, what's so crazy about that is this right here. If America created NATO, right, or is the head of NATO, the leader of NATO, the one that contributes the most money, the leader of that gang, how is it that your gang members is posting up against you now to make sure that you can't take something, you know what I'm saying, from from somebody that's associated with the gang, or that's a part of NATO, specifically, and I know with nuclear weapons and stuff like that, that changes everything. But see, I don't think what Trump is taking into consideration is this right here. I don't think he's taking into consideration that they're going to gang up on America. They're going to gang up on America. That's what they're going to do. They're going to gang up on America. And you can't fight everybody when you're getting jumped. That's the thing about it. You can't fight everybody when you're getting jumped, man. You can't do it, And especially when you're doing all of this wrong up under the sun. Remember, one of the commandments is thou shalt not steal, right? So if one of the commandments is thou shalt not steal, then we don't have no right to be, and when I say we, I mean them. They don't have no right to be taking countries from other people. They don't have no right to be stealing oil from other people. They just don't. It's wrong. The Bible says thou shalt not steal. But then if we be honest and we just go back to history, guess what we see? We see exactly how they got this place. Didn't they also steal this land that they call America? So just like the Bible say, there's nothing new up under the sun, man. There's nothing new up under the sun, you know. And I really believe in this time of revelation that the Most High has America showing her hands. You're seeing with your own eyes what it took to get control of this land. You're seeing with your own eyes what it took to subdue the indigenous people. That's what we're witnessing right now. And then they said Secretary of State Christy Nomes saying that so-called Americans better be ready to prove their citizenship. You better have your papers. You better have your documents on you. I guess they're saying you better have your license on you. You better have your ID so that they can verify you. And the question to me is, who are they to make anybody have to verify themselves to them? And they're so quick to talk about these illegal immigrants and stuff like that. But man, if we go back in history, the biggest group of immigrants, illegal immigrants that's over here right now is the Caucasian race. Because they're not indigenous to this land. And they even know that. They'll tell you they came from Europe. Well, if you came from Europe, then how could this be your country? How can this be your land if you came from Europe? You're not even from here. That's just what your own history proves. And it just shows you how delusional these people live, because they're killing people right now over a land that's not even theirs. They're killing people over a land that they're not even from. You can't even make this up. You cannot even make this up. That's how crazy this is. And nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. They just go along with the status quo. You know, and the question is how long is the Most High gonna allow that? And I don't think it's gonna be too long, because why? Prophecy is being fulfilled every day. Prophecy is being fulfilled every day. And according to a lot of the news reports and things that I done saw, America's going bankrupt, man. They're broke. The dollar's losing its power. Why you think they're jacking oil tankers? If you was a superpower and you was the richest country in the world, why would you have to resort to jacking oil tankers? Because you got to scratch up the petty change too. You got to scratch up all the nickels and dimes that you can, because things are starting to change. But you two, what y'all think about this, man? What y'all think about today's current event and what's going on? Drop them comments down below, and I'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.